competitive. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs, two-time Super Bowl champions, Harry. Will the Chiefs be the first team to ever repeat? They report in 8 days.
Well, does a bear poop in the woods? I'm not counting against Patrick Mahomes and what he's been able to do since being a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I love what they've been able to do with this offense, adding two speedsters, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. We're going to see that explosiveness from the Kansas City Chiefs this year, but also on defense. They're returning a lot of their major contributors that they had in 2023 on that side of the football.
You're already taking loose on the deuce to a whole new level. You've done baseball. You've made a bear reference. We're in a good spot. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are primed to do something that's never been done. We know that's the motivation going into the season. So, Damien, do you believe they can get this done in the three-peat?
Listen, I wouldn't put anything past that number, that demigod that is Patrick Mahomes. But listen, when we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, in this incredible run that they've been on, the one factor that's really played in their favor is health. Yeah. They haven't suffered any type of major injuries along the way. I always say, listen, when you go on championship runs, obviously you got to be very talented, well coached, disciplined, all those type of things. But one of the most important pieces is you got to be healthy throughout this stretch. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been very healthy. I think, to me, like that in a physical game that we call football, I would be hard-pressed to say that I would put them as the favorites right now, only because it's hard to go this long a time without having some type of catastrophic injury somewhere along the line.
It speaks to what they did last year with Patrick Mahomes and a rookie and Rashee Rice becoming option 1A to Travis Kelce, and how they just continually bring in receivers that step up when they need them most. And Jeff Darlington, your proximity to the players is fascinating for this one, because you actually spoke with Mahomes immediately after the Super Bowl. How motivated is he?
Yeah. Well, I did. And first and foremost, to quote the great Happy Gilmore, did Harry just call the poop? Because that's what I thought just happened there. Let's move on to Patrick Mahomes, though. I did talk to Patrick Mahomes moments after the Super Bowl on the field. Like, literally, he's still sweating from the game, and he's already talking about the idea of a three-peat. Like, he wasn't even willing to bask in the repeat before he was thinking about something that has never been done in the NFL. And that's where Mahomes is at in his career. That's where his mentality is. I don't think it's necessarily about right now trying to get to 7 Super Bowls to eclipse Tom Brady by getting to 8, which maybe down the road he will have his eyes on. But right now it's about doing things that nobody else has ever done, and no team has ever won 3 in a row. But to give you some understanding of how difficult it is, 8 teams have gone back-to-back. None of those 8 teams even returned to the Super Bowl in that third year, and 3 of those 8 teams did not even make the playoffs. This is a very difficult task, but one perhaps that Patrick Mahomes is capable of accomplishing.
Guys, let's jump off there, because he just gave you the statistic of how hard it is to even get back to the Super Bowl after back-to-back wins and appearances in there. For you, I'll start with you on this one, because I find it interesting for a hurdle for Kansas City. What would be any type of hurdle to derail them from even getting back to the Super Bowl?
I think it's what Woody brought up. I think injuries. That's the only thing, in my opinion, that can stop the Kansas City Chiefs, because what the last 6 years have told us about Kansas City is that they're going to be in the AFC Championship game. So that's 1 slot out of 2 that's already taken. You have all those other teams that are going to be fighting for that other slot to compete with Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. So I believe what Woody just brought up, injuries is the only thing that can stop Kansas City, in my opinion.
Same for you. You agree?
Absolutely. We've seen Kansas City host AFC Championship games. We've seen them take the long, hard route this past year and go all the way to do it. I think the injury, to me, is the only thing that could really derail this team.
Because they still have the quarterback who is on pace to be one of the greatest we've ever seen.
You mean the standard? Patrick Mahomes the standard?
He is the standard at this point in the NFL. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can come up and get to that standard on our Football Fridays. We continue to count down to training camp.
You think Luke Getsy's going to utilize Davante Adams good in the new Raiders offense?
I love Luke Getsy. He's a fantastic coach.
Awesome.
And I love Davante. I can't wait to play with him again.
Okay. Damien, thoughts?
Can he just shut the hell up for a little bit? Like, bro, we haven't even seen Garrett Wilson go off yet.
No.
Like, I'm waiting. That's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see Garrett Wilson with a legit quarterback go off, and we're already trying to put Davante Adams on this roster. Oh, by the way, did we forget about Mike Williams, that big free agent signing that the Jets had this offseason? Like, Mike Williams is like the perfect complement to Garrett Wilson. So how many footballs can possibly go around if you're going to add a Davante Adams with those other two guys I just mentioned? It makes no sense to me.
Your receiver puts you in the Jets locker room. You hear your franchise quarterback, who was only around 4 plays last year, say this, that I can't wait to play with him again.
Well, it will bother me a little bit. Now, you're not going to get into it with the quarterback because you need that guy to throw you the football, but I think it's also slighting the guys that you have in the locker room that are there competing, training every single day for a common goal, and that's for y'all to make the playoffs and have an opportunity to contend for a Super Bowl. I am now a firm believer in the New York Jets when they see news about the Dallas Cowboys that they want the attention back on them. Because, boy, it keeps going back and forth, back and forth. If it's not the Cowboys, it's the Jets. If it's not the Jets, it's the Cowboys. I believe that now.
Jeff Darlington, get in there. What did you make of what seems to be an impossible situation for the Jets to even entertain Davante Adams playing for them?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would put that aside because the reality is it's just not really in the cards right now. You know, we can go through all the scenarios that would make it be in the cards, but right now it's not at all. You know, it's like one of these things where he's at a golf tournament. Aaron Rodgers, like, we want to give him a little bit of a leash when it comes to being playful about things, but at the same time, this is the same guy who has been very critical of the media attention by saying things like we need to keep all of the distractions away from this team. This a player who missed minicamp due to an unexcused absence, and now talking about players that are not on his team. So it's a fine line, of course, about, you know, whether to be overly critical about a playful comment or whether to wonder if, in fact, this is one more thing to add to the fire.
And you bring up a good question, Jeff Darlington. Is there any shot, Damian Woody, look, Rodgers has a pretty dry sense of humor. Mm-hmm. He has been known to say things on a microphone, whether you agree with him or not. He takes a stance that he believes in, and he goes out there with it. Is there a chance he was just having fun because he knew this was going to be catnip for the media?
Yeah, I mean, listen, absolutely. You're in a casual environment. You're out there on a golf course. We all know his affinity for Davante Adams and all the success they had in Green Bay. So, obviously, yeah, you know, you're going to have comments like that. But it's just like,
why?
Yeah, this is why even bring this type of stuff up? You know what, Matt? You know what this really comes down to? Football season just needs to get here.
True. Yes.
That's what this all comes down to is like, I'm tired of the offseason. We need to get the training camp, get the football season so we can talk about things that really matter, not these hypotheticals that's being thrown around.
Well, 11 days till the Jets report to training camp, so at least at that point we'll see him get out there. He wasn't a part of minicamp, but at the time we speculated how big of a deal was that. Jeff Darlington, in terms of Aaron Rodgers' off season, how would you characterize where he was from the injury to where they hope he will be in 11 days?
I mean, he feels without restriction when it comes to the Achilles at this point. He will be full go in training camp. That not a question at all at this point. Really, it's back to kind of where we were 1 year ago. What will this Jets team be with Aaron Rodgers, and how will they accommodate the offensive line issues? They did a good job this offseason of upgrading that offensive line. We still need to see Aaron Rodgers behind it to understand the potential of this New York Jets team.
Been a lot of hype about that this offseason, a lot of hype about the Jets coming into last year, and again, a bunch of hype if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. And how dare you insinuate that we sit up here and make things up in the offseason? How dare you do that? Darlington, should the Cowboys pay Dak Prescott now or delay?
I am actually going to say they should delay. And I also think that maybe Dak Prescott should delay. Yes, this would be what feels like a lame duck year at times. But I remember back in the day when Joe Flacco did this, he bet on himself. And guess what happened after that? He won a Super Bowl and he got paid. No matter what, the Cowboys are going to have to pay him as the top quarterback in the NFL, whether they do it right now or after the season. In my opinion, they might as well just wait.
$34 million, probably a good payday for this point. Harry, should the Dolphins pay or delay Tua Tagovailoa?
I'm going to go delay. When I look at the 7 games that they played last season versus playoff teams, including the playoffs, they were 1-6. Also, down the stretch in the last 5 games, when the Dolphins needed it the most to shore up the division and host a playoff game, they were 2-3. I want a quarterback that's able to improvise if the play breaks down. Tua does a great job playing on schedule, but when the play breaks down, I need him to be a little bit better in those regards.
This is shocking. 2 delays with quarterbacks. Here's the big one, D. Wood. Pay or delay the Go Pack Go paying Jordan Love.
Man, pay that man. Listen, the last 9 weeks of the season, that man you see on your screen, Jordan Love, he was the best quarterback in the National Football League. And the numbers bear it out. 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. That man was on an absolute heater the last 9 weeks of the season last year. I think his trajectory is just going to keep skyrocketing. You better pay him, get ahead of this thing.
But you would also make sure that snapshot is who Jordan Love is going to be for the duration of your career, because you're right. That was MVP-level football at Jordan Love down the backstretch of the season. And Darlington, what have you heard about the extension getting done for Love?
Yeah, by the way, apparently me and Harry are the cheap ones. Damien coming out with the money right away. I guess who's picking up dinner next time we're all out together. Listen, with Jordan Love, I talked to Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of this team, earlier this offseason, and it felt very clear to me that not only did he believe that this was the time to pay Jordan Love, but he also understood the market that would be there when this happened. Now, we've seen the deals for Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff, and quite frankly, Jordan Love's contract should seemingly fall right within that. In my opinion, you could take the Trevor Lawrence contract and literally just put it on a copy machine, and you've got your deal done for Jordan Love. The question is, will they get there before the start of training camp? Will they get there at some point before the start of the season? These things tend to happen, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Those all happened within this window. So it's not too late for Jordan Love to get that deal done.
And here's what I love about Jordan Love, the quarterback. He was in the rare instance of where he was drafted, as we know, when Aaron Rodgers was still the starter out there in Green Bay, and we know how Aaron felt about that. He wasn't one of these rookie quarterbacks that came in and played right away. He had to sit, wait, and develop, and now we think that we're seeing the complete product in Jordan Love. Having said that, where do you think? I mean, you heard him say it, best quarterback in the NFC at the end of last season. Where do you put him?
Right now in the NFC, I have him third. I have Dak Prescott, I have Matthew Stafford, and I have Jordan Love third in those regards.
Wow. Be hard pressed to disagree. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen. I look at runway. Who's going to be ascending, to that level? And when you look at Jordan Love, look at obviously the accuracy, his playmaking ability. It was all on display. Yep. Look at the playoffs. It was all on display against both the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, by the way, with the youngest group of skill position players in the National Football League. 7 wide receivers. They're all going to be ascending together. I mean, look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. This best in the NFL over the last 9 games. Okay? This group should only get better with Jordan Love. So again, this is a scary proposition for opponents of the Green Bay Packers.
Darlington, get in there.
I just refuse to fall into this trap again. Jalen Hurts wasn't even on that list that you talked about with top 3 players. Jalen Hurts, a year ago, we were talking about potentially unseating Mahomes as the best quarterback in the NFL at some point. And then all of a sudden he hits a little bit of a skid. We're wondering, what is that going to look like? Jared Goff has had 4 seasons with a better passer rating than Jordan Love did this last year, including last year. I don't even know that Jordan Love is the best quarterback in his division at this point. This is not to hate on Jordan Love. He did a wonderful job last year. I saw him in games covering him in Green Bay when he looked like the franchise quarterback of a team. We need to see a bigger body of work before we're going to go crown him as anything close to a top quarterback in the NFC.
I will say this, as far as Jalen Hurts is concerned, you know what happened? Shane Steichen became the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He played a huge part in where Jalen Hurts is at right now. And listen, I guarantee if you ask anybody right now, which quarterback would you rather have? Jordan Love moving forward, Jordan Love or Jared Goff?
I'm taking Jordan Love.
I'm taking Jordan Love.
He can throw off every platform, right?
That's
he can
fair,
improvise
but he's
when the play breaks down. He can throw the one-legged fadeaways like we seen Dirk Nowitzki do in Dallas. Jordan Love did it on the football field in Dallas, man. Come on, Jordan Love is that dude now.
Jalen Hurts was a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, he brings up about like this time last year, Jalen, like MVP conversation, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. As I said before, you had better make it. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive, but
better do it now.
You better do it now.
Because if he has an unbelievable year, Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
mean, look,
You should re-sign him. To be very clear, you should sign Jordan Love right now. This is not Jordan Love hate that I'm trying to spew here. He is a top 10 quarterback right now. I just think we need to pump the brakes on crowning him in the NFC.
All right.